From the method you're using to cook it to the kind of pan you use and how hot it is, there are all kinds of ways you could be doing your favorite breakfast meat a huge disservice. Here's everything you're doing wrong with your bacon and how to get it right.
Hi there. Thanks for joining me for a morning quickie.
Mornings can be hectic, but please don't try to shave a few minutes off your breakfast routine by heating a pan over super high heat and then throwing your straight from the fridge bacon into it. Will you get cooked bacon using this method? Sure. Will you want to eat said bacon? Probably not.
You'd assume the secret ingredient is love. It's actually bacon.
The problem with the cold bacon hot pan method is that all that glorious fat on those strips needs time to warm up and render out. If you toss cold meat into a hot pan, the fat immediately starts to seize up, resulting in bacon that has a gummy texture. For perfectly crisp strips with tender fat, start the bacon in a cold pan over medium-low heat and take your time. Going low and slow ensures the fat will render out properly and provides the bacon its own grease to cook and crisp in.
There is no better start to the day than eggs for breakfast. Except maybe eggs with a side of
bacon.
So you're slaving away over the stove, cooking your cold bacon in a cold pan just like you're supposed to. But your strips aren't perfect, and they're even burnt in places. What gives? When it comes to cooking bacon, not all pans are created equal. The cast iron skillet is king when it comes to bacon, and that's because of its heavy bottom that evenly conducts heat. Gone will be those burned edges that you get when you use aluminum, which gets too hot too fast and is also prone to random hot spots. As an added bonus, every time you cook bacon in your cast iron skillet, all that luscious grease seasons the pan. Proof that bacon really does make everything better.
It'd be the perfect thing to be drinking a beer, taking your time. I don't know if you want to be doing that at 9:30 on a Saturday morning, but that's your call.
This might seem like an odd way to ensure that your bacon is crisp and tender instead of dry and crumbly, but when America's Test Kitchen talks, we listen. And according to their experts, the secret to better bacon is water. To make this next-level bacon, they recommend covering the meat with water and putting the skillet over high heat. Though we keep hearing that high heat is bad for bacon, here the water keeps that cooking temperature low and allows the meat to retain its moisture and stay tender. Once boiling, reduce the heat to medium and continue simmering until all the water has evaporated. Then reduce the heat to medium-low and finish cooking the bacon until browned. The result?
And what you're left with is plump bacon that's pleasantly crisp and not tough or brittle.
If you're making bacon for a crowd, nobody wants to be stuck manning the stove while everyone else is enjoying their mimosas. The solution? Oven cook one huge batch and go join your brunch guests.
Fantastic.
Oven-cooked bacon seems fairly straightforward, but there are plenty of methods out there, all claiming to be the best. Thanks to J. Kenji Lopez-Alt at Serious Eats, who tested several of those methods, we now know which way is the best way. There are no wire racks, aluminum foil, parchment paper, or other tools required. Just a rimmed baking sheet and a 425-degree oven. Line up your strips, bake for about 20 minutes until crisp, and drain on paper towels. But if you just can't quit the wire rack method, consider following Alton Brown's advice to avoid the dreaded wailings of the smoke detector. When roasting bacon at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, try lining the pan with paper towels. They soak up the fat and prevent smoking. What's really the key to life-changing bacon? According to one GQ writer, it's a bacon press.
The world is split into two halves, the bacon and the bacon eaters.
The simple cast iron press, when coupled with a cast iron skillet, apparently has an enormous effect on breakfast meat. And that's because it allows each and every dip and curl of the bacon strip to come into contact with heat. As GQ's Josh Shearer explained, when you set a strip of bacon down in a pan, the wavy parts that aren't touching the cooking surface cook only from the rising steam. Floppy, steam-cooked bacon means you miss out on all the melt-in-your-mouth fat and perfectly browned bits of meat. With the bacon press, you'll be cooking up the most tantalizing bacon you ever laid your eyes on. Depending on who you ask, microwaving bacon can be a polarizing subject. While Bon Appetit implores, just no, please don't, others think it produces a perfectly edible finished product. Here's how to microwave your bacon so you don't regret it. Skip the paper towels and drape your bacon strips around the edge of a bowl. Place the bowl on top of a larger plate, then microwave until crisp. The fat will drip into the bowl or onto the plate, and the bacon will stay crisp. You're going to feel a little bit like Goldilocks here, but to make the best bacon, you've got to cook just the right amount, or risk a major breakfast fail. Though it might be tempting to get the job done fast and throw a bunch of bacon into the pan at once, it turns out that doing so is actually a recipe for disaster. According to Bon Appetit, you need to leave about an inch of space around each strip to allow the fat to render out and give the bacon a chance to crisp up rather than steaming in its close quarters and becoming limp and soggy.
You're doing it all wrong.
On the other hand, cooking too few strips of bacon can also end badly. Scott Vermeer of Prather Ranch Meat Company told Chowhound that cooking just 1 or 2 pieces of bacon doesn't allow enough fat to render out quickly enough, and therefore the pan doesn't stay lubricated. Unless you're into fully scorched bacon, nobody has time for that. Although the royals have some strict rules about food, they are apparently free to eat all the bacon they want. And according to a former royal chef, if that bacon is destined for Prince Harry's plate, it needs to be cooked especially to his tastes. Chef Darren McGrady explained to Food and Wine that an 8-year-old Prince Harry taught him a thing or two about how to cook the breakfast meat after a trip to Florida. He remembered, "It was after the royal family came back from Walt Disney World, and I had cooked bacon for breakfast. We serve the same bacon you can get in the States, and I broil it just the same. But Prince Harry said to me, we had it in America at Disney World, and it's so crispy you can snap it. You have to broil it first, and then you have to put it in some paper towels and place it in the microwave for a minute." And I thought, yeah, okay, thank you, you little brat, teaching me how to cook. But as soon as he was gone, I tried it, and I got this amazingly crispy bacon. For his part, McGrady says he never went back to his old ways and used the broil plus microwave method from then on. Score 1 for Prince Harry.
I'm going to save our natural resources and respect our animal friends by becoming a vegetarian starting right now. Ooh, bacon!
Don't get us wrong, we won't say no to plain old bacon, but every once in a while, it's fun to switch things up. And it turns out that flavoring your own bacon might be easier than you thought. For this style, you'll want to cook it in the oven, as this allows you to easily add the flavor mixture and eliminates the need for constant flipping. The kitchen recommends using a foil-lined baking sheet and cooking the bacon in a 400-degree oven for 15 to 20 minutes before draining the fat from the pan. At that point, you're free to experiment with any concoction your heart desires. Cook for 5 more minutes, and boom! Flavored bacon. Try a classic combination like maple syrup and chipotle chili powder, or go bold with a mixture of sriracha, sesame oil, and honey. Or how about some roasted garlic bacon? The possibilities really are endless.
Give me all the bacon and eggs you have. Do you understand?
Aside from the deliciously salty meat itself, the second best thing that results from cooking up a big pan of bacon is the grease. Bacon grease is the secret ingredient you didn't know you needed. You can fry your eggs in it, use it in salad dressings, and add it to soups, stews, cookies, and caramels. Honestly, you can use it in pretty much anything you cook. While your grandma might have kept a tin of fat in her pantry, you might, understandably, want to abide by more stringent food safety measures. And that's as simple as pouring the grease through a strainer and sealing it up in a container to store in the fridge. The magic of bacon grease is that even when cold, it's still nice and pliable, ready for whatever your needs may be, even if it's just spreading it on a piece of toast.
That is a gorgeous piece of bacon.
Perhaps the only negative thing about bacon is the lingering scent it leaves behind. Thankfully, there are a few ways to abolish the ghost of bacon past. For starters, use a splatter shield, which helps cut down on the particles that get into the air and latch onto your countertops and walls. Second, run the exhaust fan on your stove or open the windows. Then wipe down any surfaces that may have been hit by splatter, wash the dirty dishes, and toss or launder any towels used in the cleaning process. Lastly, if you're basically one step away from bacon witness protection, spritz a little air freshener in the room and you'll be solid gold. Let's face it, the bacon cooking process can result in a pretty big mess. Whether you're using the stovetop, oven, or microwave, there's splatter, piles of paper towels, and pools of grease to clean. But there's a way to hack it. Commit to cooking the entire package, or 2 for that matter, at once. After the bacon has cooled, all those perfectly cooked strips are now ready for the freezer. The goal here is to ensure the bacon strips freeze individually so that you can grab however many you need. Simply lay parchment paper onto a baking sheet and line up the cooked strips so they're not touching. Depending on how much you have, you may need to add another layer of paper on top and start a new row of bacon. Throw in the freezer for 3 hours or overnight. Once frozen, store slices in a zip-top bag for up to 1 month. Whenever you need it, just microwave the frozen bacon for about 30 seconds. Though it might look a little silly, the bacon weave is more than just a bacon lover's gimmick. Believe it or not, this piece of latticework meat is the answer to many of your culinary woes, including dried-out meatloaf. With a bacon weave, inadequately topped burgers are a thing of the past. Add one to a BLT or burger, and you'll guarantee a substantial amount of salty meat with every mouthful. And then there's bacon-wrapped chicken, meatloaf, burger patties, or pork loin. Not only does it add impressive flair, it also adds tons of flavor and keeps foods from drying out. And it's not as complicated as it looks. Just weave full or half strips of bacon like a lattice until you've formed a large enough square. Then either bake it flat until crisp or wrap around the dish to be cooked.
Never add bacon. It ruins everything without bacon forever.
Despite the fact that you may have just eaten bacon, you likely don't know how it got to your plate. You know it's pork, but how's it actually made? What type of pig does it come from? Does it have to be cured? Can it be healthy? Fear not, we've got you covered. Here's how bacon is really made. The first mention of anything resembling bacon dates back to ancient China, where it took the form of salted pork belly. Until the 16th century, the term bacon referred to pretty much any pork you could find. The word itself derives from continental European dialects, including the Old High German term bacho, meaning buttock. Bacon arrived in the New World with the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto, the so-called father of the American pork industry. He brought 13 pigs with him to America in 1539 and soon grew his herd to a size of 700. Unfortunately, things got a little out of hand, and the New World's pig population ended up expanding so rapidly and uncontrollably that wild pigs continued to run amok in New York City as late as the 19th century. Today, of course, Americans are doing their best to make amends for this by eating as much bacon as possible. Around 70% of bacon is eaten with breakfast, but it's also a hugely popular sandwich ingredient, often showing up on fine dining menus.
That is so good. That is so much better than ham.
So how is bacon actually made? Well, there are actually two primary methods. The first is dry curing, an older, more traditional method of bacon production. The raw bacon is first rubbed with salt and seasonings as a way of giving the meat flavor, before allowing it to cure for between 1 or 2 weeks. After the bacon is cured, it's rinsed off, dried, and put into a smoker to help add more flavor and preserve the meat. Not all bacon is smoked, however, and sometimes dry-cured bacon is hung to air dry in the cold for several weeks or months. Because the curing process is so time-consuming, it's not often used in the United States today. That's not to say it's not available, however. If you can get your hands on some dry-cured bacon, it's worth doing, if for no other reason than to enjoy its deeper, most robust flavor profile. Most of the bacon Americans eat nowadays is wet-cured, since this fast method is more suitable for industrial mass production. To begin, a number of curing ingredients, including salt, sugar, sodium nitrate, and other chemicals, are mixed together to create a brine. The raw bacon is then soaked in or injected with this brine. Sometimes, like dry-cured bacon, wet-cured bacon is smoked for flavor. Most of the time, however, the bacon is placed in a convection oven for around 6 hours, with liquid smoke occasionally added to give the meat a smokier flavor. Generally, wet-cured bacon is high in moisture and lacking in flavor. That added moisture also makes it heavier, which actually makes it more expensive. As a result, you're usually better off buying dry-cured bacon. Although it may be pricier per pound, its weight comes from the meat itself rather than the water contained within. Although bacon tends to be either wet-cured or dry-cured, there are changes and additions you can make to the curing process that result in different varieties. Wiltshire curing, for example, is a type of wet cure that involves curing the pork bone in and rind on in a special recipe brine for up to 2 days. After that, it's kept in cold storage for 2 weeks to allow it to mature, giving the finished bacon a subtly salty flavor and a meaty texture. Maple curing includes maple syrup in the curing mixture. The meat is cured for up to 5 days and then smoked, resulting in a smoky, woody flavor with a hint of sweetness. You can also sweet cure bacon using a range of ingredients including sugars like muscovado, demerara, and molasses, and spices such as juniper. Adding this extra sugar instills the bacon with a smoky and syrupy flavor and a very sweet aroma.
I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me.
Uncured bacon exists because the wet curing process involves adding nitrates to bacon meat. Unfortunately, nitrates may come with some health risks attached, including elevated cancer risk. Confusingly, uncured bacon isn't actually uncured, it's just cured with celery powder and salt. The idea is that celery contains natural nitrates rather than the artificial ones used in the mass production of bacon. Nitrates of some kind are totally necessary. They maintain flavor, prevent odors, and delay the growth of harmful bacteria. Unfortunately, it's still not certain whether natural nitrates are any less harmful than artificial nitrates, meaning it's currently impossible to know whether uncured bacon is better for you.
No, I want my bacon. I gotta tell you something. Bacon is good for me.
As with many mass-produced foods, wet-cured bacon contains a number of additives. You already know about the artificial nitrates, but all wet-cured bacon must also contain either ascorbate or sodium erythorbate, chemicals which accelerate the reaction between the nitrates and the meat, reducing the formations of nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are essentially carcinogenic compounds that appear when you combine nitrates and naturally broken down proteins called amines. And although they only appear in small amounts, the fewer your bacon contains, the better. Ascorbate and sodium erythorbate play an important part in reducing the harmful effects of nitrates. So here's a question: is bacon bad for you? Well, yes and no. According to Healthline, bacon contains 50% monounsaturated fat, mostly oleic acid, 40% saturated fat, 10% polyunsaturated fat, and a decent amount of cholesterol. Most of this isn't too much of a problem, and oleic acid is actually considered a heart-healthy substance. Unfortunately, saturated fat is more harmful and might increase risk factors for heart disease. This isn't a certainty, however, and the small serving size of bacon means that as long as you live an otherwise healthy lifestyle, the saturated fat it contains probably isn't going to cause much trouble. Bacon also contains a number of healthy nutrients. A typical 3.5-ounce portion, for example, contains 37 grams of protein, vitamins B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, and B12, as well as iron, magnesium, zinc, and potassium. It's worth noting, however, that these nutrients are also present in other, less processed foods. Finally, there's salt. Because salt is used in both dry curing and wet curing, all bacon has a high salt content. Consume too much salt and you put yourself at risk of stomach cancer, high blood pressure, and potentially heart disease. The U.S. Department of Agriculture defines bacon as the cured belly of a swine carcass, but in the UK, belly is traditionally made using the back of the pig, otherwise known as the loin. This kind is fairly hard to find stateside, but it's usually labeled as back bacon. Standard U.S. bacon is instantly recognizable. It's pork belly with veins of pink meat and white fat, cut crosswise into long, narrow slices. You've also got pancetta, an Italian version of streaky bacon, again made from pork belly. This variant is rolled up and sliced into thin circles. Then there's Canadian bacon, which, like British bacon, is made from pork loin. This type of bacon is pre-cooked and smoked, and usually looks and tastes a little like ham. Slab bacon is a single piece of bacon with the rind left on, while fatback is a slab of fat cut from the loin and used as lard or cut into strips to be wrapped around lean roasts. Although the USDA might be something of a stickler for defining bacon as pork belly, some companies are willing to be a little bit more liberal with the term. As a result, you can find a whole bunch of non-pork bacon alternatives out there. Take schmacon, for example. Despite looking very similar to real bacon, this variant is actually made from beef. You can also get d'Artagnan uncured, a kind of smoked duck bacon that Extra Crispy describes as featuring a little salt and some lovely fat at first, a nice toothsome quality to the meat, and then a big honking hit of duck flavor on the back end. Turkey bacon is a little more common, of course, while smoked salmon bacon is just a little more off the wall. In their taste test, Extra Crispy describes Trader Joe's salmon bacon as surprisingly meaty, with a pleasant hint of smoke along with that unmistakable salmon flavor. Smoked dulse, meanwhile, has been called the bacon of the sea and is made from a wild sea vegetable similar to kelp. Traditionally, pigs have been classified one of two ways: lard pigs or bacon pigs. You can probably guess which is more relevant here. Lard breeds were used to produce, you guessed it, lard. They tended to be thicker and shorter than other pigs. They could be fattened quickly with a good corn diet, which was seen as a hugely desirable quality for pigs grown for lard. Meanwhile, bacon pigs were lean and muscular, fed on a diet of legumes, grains, turnips, and dairy byproducts. Loaded up on proteins, these pigs would grow more muscle than other breeds, making them perfect for the production of bacon. Before World War II, the only non-lard breeds of pig were the Yorkshire and Tamworth pigs. Today, however, bacon pigs are far more varied. In fact, only 3 traditional lard pig breeds remain: the Choctaw, the Guinea Hog, and the Mulefoot. The most popular bacon breeds, meanwhile, are the Duroc, Hampshire, and Yorkshire breeds, the 3 of which pretty much support the entire pork industry. Most other breeds have dwindled in population, with some, such as the Mulefoot, teetering on the edge of extinction. As is the case with many animals that are farmed for consumption, some pigs live hard lives before being slaughtered for their meat. At some pig farms, pigs are reared for breeding, which means they're lined up in gestation crates and live through several cycles of pregnancy until, eventually, they are slaughtered. The piglets born from these pigs are sometimes confined in concrete pens and fattened until they reach market weight. They are then taken to be slaughtered. Of course, this isn't how it works for all pig farms. There is a way to make sure your bacon comes from a happier place. Pastured pigs live far better lives. These pigs are allowed to live in an open, free environment and can graze or forage for food to their heart's content. And it's not just the pigs who end up happier with pastured farming. These pigs are far less likely to contain the antibiotics and hormones that intensively raised pigs are fed, and are raised in healthier, more hygienic conditions. This makes them healthier for you, the bacon consumer. Just be careful with bacon that comes from free-range pigs, because this can often mean only the minimum steps have been taken to meet that definition. A pig raised in a packed barn with a door at one end is not a happy pig, but you may have to ask some questions to figure out what you're getting. Hang on, before you pull a Ron Swanson.
Would you like to sample our vegan bacon? 100% meatless.
Yes, please.
Just hear us out. So, how do you make veggie or vegan bacon? Turns out it's easy. The method is simple. First, you choose your primary ingredient. Oh My Veggies suggests choosing a sufficiently porous ingredient as your base, like mushrooms, tofu, tempeh, chickpeas, coconut, carrots, or eggplant. Next, you make a marinade. For the smoky bacon flavor, use liquid smoke or smoked paprika, or both. Salty and savory flavors can be added with soy sauce, tamari, or liquid amino. Sour notes will come courtesy of vinegar. And finally, sweeter elements of the flavor can be brought in with maple syrup, agave, sugar, or brown sugar. For the best marinade, you'll want to combine all of these. Oh My Veggies suggests 1 part smoke, 3 parts sweet, 4 parts sour, and 4 parts savory and salty. Next, marinate your base ingredient, preferably up to 12 hours in the refrigerator. The longer you soak, the more intense the flavor will be. Finally, cook your bacon however you like. Bake tofu, pan-fry eggplant or tempeh, or grill your mushrooms or carrots, and voila! Tasty bacon with all of the flavor and none of the dead pig. What's not to like?
Bacon is one of the most beloved breakfast foods in the country. While not renowned for its health benefits, fans of the fried meat feel that its rich, savory flavor makes it more than worth the indulgence. And the salty cured pork isn't just reserved for the mornings. It is a popular addition to all kinds of meals, from a side dish to a topping on burgers and salads, to the main event in a sandwich like a BLT. In fact, it seems pretty likely that many bacon fans would add it to just about any meal if they could. However, there is one thing that makes bacon less than perfect: the preparation process. Some find the strips can be difficult to cook evenly, with some pieces coming out more chewy while others are more crispy. Furthermore, strips do not often lay flat inside a sandwich, which can make it difficult to distribute all the deliciousness evenly. The different pieces can also sometimes spill out when one goes to take a bite, leaving a disappointing baconless hole in a sandwich or burger. Fortunately, there's an easy solution for this bacon conundrum. To avoid uneven bacon in subpar sandwiches, some cooks recommend preparing the bacon in a specific way to prevent spillage and ensure all the bacon pieces are cooked evenly. What is that? Some swear that weaving the strips together and placing them in the oven is actually the best way to cook bacon. Layering the bacon like this and then baking it not only helps the meat cook thoroughly and evenly on all sides, it is also the best shape for evenly distributing it across every bite of your sandwich. Although frying bacon may be the more traditional way of cooking it, true bacon aficionados know there is much more to cooking bacon than simply tossing the strips in the frying pan. But whether you choose to use a skillet or not, do not put the bacon straight from the refrigerator onto the frying pan. Allowing the strips to rest and soften before cooking will allow the meat to cook more evenly and perfectly.
Bacon.
However, if you do decide to skip the pan in favor of the oven rack, there are still a few important things to note. Bacon cooks best when it's laying flat, and an easy way to make that happen is to lay the strips out evenly and then cover them with a rack to ensure they remain flat throughout the cooking process. While bacon can always be prepared in the microwave for a faster cooking time, a waffle maker can also come in handy if you are in a pinch and you still want the same even, crispy result that you would achieve in a regular oven. When it comes to cooking bacon, the waffle iron works in much the same way as a conventional oven. Simply lay the strips flat, allow them to cook until crispy on both sides, and voila! There are endless hacks out there to help home chefs achieve that delicious, perfectly cooked strip of bacon. But honestly, all bacon is amazing.
Kevin Bacon here. You know me from 6 degrees of, well, me. But it's time to expand.
Those who prefer less grease can cook their strips on an incline, allowing the excess fat to drip off. But of course, the ultimate bacon cooking hack, no matter which device you choose to cook it on, is weaving the strips together. Many fans of this method insist that once you give the weaving method a try, you won't go back. The trick to achieving a perfect weave is to first lay the strips against each other vertically on a baking sheet, with the fatty sides all facing the same way. Then flip every other strip in half and lay another piece of bacon perpendicular to it before flipping it back down. Then do the same to the alternate column, and repeat, laying interlacing perpendicular strips across all the bacon columns. Finally, put the bacon weave in the oven and let it bake for about 30 to 35 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, although times may vary. Once the meat is thoroughly cooked, simply take it out and enjoy your perfectly cooked square of bacon.
If you've ever thought of making bacon in the oven, we have 2 words for you. Do it. Though the less common way to prepare everyone's breakfast meat, it really is the best way. If you've tried these strips of hog heaven on the stovetop, you probably know it's really easy to overcook your bacon to tasteless, dry, crumbling sadness. Pan frying, especially if you're cooking at a higher temperature, can take your bacon from just right to overdone and even burnt in just a couple of minutes. That's just not going to happen in the oven. Another advantage to oven baking is less splatter, which means you can say goodbye to those unpleasant little burns and all that grease on and around your stove or cooktop. Oven-fried bacon is also prettier because this method reduces bacon shrinkage, so your bacon slices stay flatter as opposed to curling or shriveling. Finally, for 1 or 2 servings, the stovetop is still the quickest and simplest way to go, but if you're cooking up the whole package, making them in the oven is much faster and more efficient than cooking multiple batches in your frying pan. Plus, oven cooking requires no flipping or monitoring. Just set the timer and go about your business. And who doesn't want to make their busy life even a little more efficient? Now, how do you get the perfect bacon? Cook's Illustrated writer Douglas Bellow advises using a rimmed baking sheet to contain the rendered fat and prevent a greasy and dangerous mess in your oven. Try cooking the bacon in an oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 9 to 10 minutes for medium well bacon and 11 to 12 minutes if you like it crispy. You'll have to be careful not to overlap your pieces or they will stick together. Laying out the bacon on a wire cooking rack placed on top of the baking sheet can result in even crispier bacon because elevating the bacon strips allows them to cook from all sides. Bellow found, however, that doing so sometimes results in bacon that cooks unevenly and can cause some spots to dry out. Some fat, Bellow concluded, is needed to prevent this. If you do opt to use a wire rack, you should first coat it with cooking spray. Even better, opt for using a foil-lined baking sheet and you might find it's the better option. Determining the doneness of oven-fried bacon is similar to stovetop bacon. Check the color. Remember, the darker the bacon, the drier it is. Douglas Bellows said of his oven-fried bacon, "The texture was more like a seared piece of meat than like a brittle cracker. The color was that nice brick red, and all the flavors were just as bright and clear as when the bacon was pan-fried."
I enjoy having breakfast in bed. I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me.
A few additional tips. First, to keep your bacon from overcooking once it's out of the oven, be sure to move it to a paper towel immediately to get rid of excess grease. This also halts the cooking process, which will continue as long as the bacon is in contact with the sizzling hot fat. Secondly, line your baking sheet with foil or parchment paper for easier cleanup. Third, cook 2 sheets at a time if the bacon doesn't fit on just one. Rotate the sheets halfway through cooking. And fourth, like any bacon, it can be stored in the refrigerator for up to a week. To reheat, microwave for 30 seconds or return it to the oven for 1 to 2 minutes. If you want to freeze-cooked bacon, just undercook it by a couple of minutes, let it cool, and place it in a zippered plastic bag. To finish cooking, pull out a few slices and cook them in the microwave on medium power for 30 seconds. And let's not forget that perfect cooking deserves perfect eating. Add some flavor if you choose by sprinkling ground pepper or brown sugar on the slices before putting them in the oven. Still not sure about giving up your favorite skillet? Give the oven a try and get ready for the easiest, most perfect bacon you've ever made.
For centuries, bacon has coaxed us out of bed with an intoxicating aroma and a symphony of snaps, hisses, and pops. Indeed, Americans always have and continue to love bacon. But which store-bought brands deserve your business? Here's our guide to grocery store bacon, ranked worst to best.
Then I wake up to the smell of crackling bacon. It is delicious, it's good for me, it's a perfect way to start the day.
Jamestown brand lets you know immediately that you're about to purchase not-so-stellar bacon. First, the packaging. Instead of a see-through plastic package that allows the shopper to visually inspect the thickness, fat-to-meat ratio, and overall quality of each one, Jamestown sports only a small window in the center of an otherwise fully enclosed box. Clearly, Jamestown is hiding something about its bacon, and that something is not good. And once inside, you'll notice a few other problematic bacon sins. Jamestown brand bacon is sliced into ridiculously thin strips, causing it to burn shortly after being put to heat. Smithfield is one of the most legendary creators of pork products in the entire world, processing more pigs and producing more hogs than any other company on the planet, which makes their bacon placement on this ranking all the more demoralizing. Smithfield's hometown bacon is extremely thin right out of the package, and the strips shrink considerably when cooked. When you plate your Smithfield hometown bacon, you're left with a wispy, chip-like wafer of salty meat. While not nearly as angering as our previous 2 subpar bacon offenders, Hormel doesn't exactly light up the senses either with its original bacon. In fact, one gets the sense that Hormel slapped the moniker Black Label onto its bacon because the branding sounds deluxe and fancy. In truth, Hormel Black Label Original Bacon is unspectacular in almost every way, except for the saltiness, which is the most prominent upfront flavor. There's also some inconsistency in size and thickness, causing some uneven cooking. The texture is decent enough, with an even distribution of fatty and lean streaks in the strips. With a prestigious reputation in the deli section and hot dog selection of every supermarket, Boar's Head Bacon should be a no-brainer. At first glance, that's exactly what it is. That iconic logo looks back at you and seems to oink the words, "I'm Boar's Head. I symbolize the very essence of meat. You just know I produce incredible bacon." In truth, that talking swine might be a tad full of itself. Boar's Head traditional bacon is by no means bad, but it isn't going to change the bacon landscape either. This is why this particular bacon fits near the middle of our ranking. Here's the thing about Hormel. The company sells a lot of different varieties of bacon. There's Black Label Original and Black Label Thick Cut, along with other offerings like Cherrywood, Applewood, Maple Black Pepper, Brown Sugar, Jalapeno, Country Style, Ranch Style, and Center Cut. Sampling every variety of Hormel would do serious damage to one's wallet, not to mention one's arteries. Not only that, but grocery stores don't typically sell every single bacon under the Hormel name. Out of the Hormel varieties we were able to sample, Black Label Thick Cut Applewood stood out enough to earn a spot on this list. In bacon, as in life, everyone loves an underdog. The fighter that gets into the ring with zero expectations, then absolutely stuns the crowd with their grit and determination. Now, we're not suggesting that retail mega chain Target is an underdog, but its in-house brand Market Pantry delivers a bacon that is impossible to root against. As soon as you open the package, you know you're dealing with some serious bacon. Costco's immensely popular private label brand, Kirkland Signature, stocks shelves with at least 2 varieties of bacon, the original sliced and the far grander thick slice center cut. Our focus lies squarely on the thick slice center cut, as it stands head and pork shoulders above its porcine counterpart. Available in bulk and standard size packages, Kirkland Signature thick slice center cut bacon hits the mark in terms of fat to meat distribution, resulting in a pleasingly marbled profile. The thicker cut equals far less shrinkage during the cooking process, whether that's in the pan or in the oven. Simply put, there's more Costco bacon to bite when the time comes to consume. based on the packaging, Applegate's biggest bacon selling points are no antibiotics ever and humanely raised. While these are absolutely great reasons to purchase this particular brand of bacon, one crucial characteristic should not be overlooked: taste. Allow us to calm any fears you might have about a lack of flavor destroying all the goodwill built up by Applegate's adherence to positive pork practices. Applegate Naturals Uncured Sunday Bacon is one of the most deeply flavored, richly textured bacon products on the market, and this amazing flavor and hearty texture shines through, even though Applewood's bacon is one of the thinnest on the list. Somehow, someway, those skinny strips pack a big, fat punch right to the palate. Finally, one of the classic, well-known brands makes us proud with a dominant entry in our bacon ranking. Oscar Mayer, arguably more recognizable and ubiquitous in the bacon game than any other company, doesn't rely on name recognition alone to move product. Instead, they present a bacon that's impressive, surprising, and downright delicious. Oscar Mayer naturally hardwood smoked bacon hits with just the right amount of salt up front, delivered with a bite that's the perfect textural combination of crispy and chewy. Along with a near-flawless texture, the flavor of the bacon is superb on all accounts. It's rich and luxurious, coating the tongue in that velvety bacon essence that keeps us all coming back for more. Prior to appearing on the restaurant's appetizer menu in the late 1990s, obscenely thick-cut bacon was reserved as a secret snack of the Peter Luger kitchen crew. Then, many years later, the meat masters at the gritty yet buttoned-up Brooklyn Steakhouse decided to make the very same bacon available to consumers in a retail setting. It was a decision that we can safely say has altered the story of store-bought bacon forever. Peter Luger's extra thick cut is the bacon lover's bacon. The purest expression of pork belly, it continues to glide in and out of the eater's mind long after the plate's been cleaned. People love bacon, and they love Costco. So people are going to love Costco's bacon, right? Turns out that's a more complex question than you might think. Here's the truth on the good and not so good about this bacon. The most important thing about bacon is, of course, how it tastes. It can be the most humanely produced bacon out there or the cheapest offering for miles around. But if it isn't tasty, it just ain't worth it. And the truth about Costco's bacon is that it is that good.
What do you think?
According to Consumer Reports, Costco's Kirkland Signature Bacon is better than most, if not all competitor products, including well-known brands like Oscar Mayer and Trader Joe's. The Consumer Reports data found that, as compared with all of these other brands, Costco's bacon was the only one to be dubbed excellent. The report goes on to say, it crisped up nicely and consistently, and had balanced fat and meat flavors complemented by wood smoke and a hint of sweetness. Costco's bacon isn't just better than other bacons, it's also cheaper. That shouldn't necessarily come as a surprise, seeing as a good deal is kind of the store's claim to fame. But did you know that Costco's bacon is a whopping 20% cheaper than comparable brands, according to the Wall Street Journal? This just goes to show that price isn't necessarily an indicator of quality. As a point of comparison, the priciest product tested by Consumer Reports, Oscar Mayer fully cooked bacon, rated much lower than many other bacon brands. When it comes to bacon, Costco really does put you in bacon heaven. No sacrifice on the quality required. Given Costco bacon's low price and high quality, it's perhaps no surprise that it's one of the store's best deals. Today rated it one of its top Costco options, bemoaning nevertheless the sheer quantity of bacon one must buy to reap the rewards. At Costco, consumers are required to buy 4 pounds at a time in order to reap the benefits of this deal. Of course, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Costco sells its bacon not as a 4-pound behemoth of a pack, but in 4 far more reasonably sized 1-pound packages that are merely sold together. This makes it easy to open just one at a time and freeze the rest. Because do you know what defrosts beautifully in the fridge? You guessed it.
Bacon.
It's delicious, it's cheap, there's gotta be a catch, right? Surely Costco's bacon can't also be humanely produced? Honestly, Costco has been pretty good on that front too. And it's not that surprising when you know a bit about Costco's humane and sustainability commitments. Costco has a history of taking a stand on animal welfare and environmental issues, vowing back in 2015 not to sell GMO salmon or caged eggs, both of which were decisions that spurred similar commitments by smaller retailers and, according to Organic Authority, essentially changed the market demand in one fell swoop due to the sheer volume of merchandise moved by Costco. When it comes to its bacon, Costco applies the same animal welfare standards it applies to all of its meat and dairy, supporting the 5 freedoms of animal well-being and relying on trained auditors to make sure that these and other criteria are respected, such as controlled use of antibiotics. Costco sells several types of bacon, most of which are marketed under its Kirkland brand. But there is one exception, the store's hickory smoked pre-cooked bacon, which is made by and branded as Hormel. According to Costco corporate buyer Sarah George, the decision to work with Hormel for this product came after quite a long time of seeking out an appropriate bacon supplier that was of the quality Costco required. George tells Supermarket News that when she couldn't find a bacon that met the chain's needs, she reached out to Hormel, asking them to manufacture a product just for Costco. This pre-cooked bacon is different from Hormel's pre-existing product, in that it's sliced a bit thicker. Of course, despite being delicious and inexpensive, Costco's bacon isn't totally perfect. One gripe quite a few consumers have is the lack of uniformity, specifically the company's penchant for hiding broken, thin, or fatty bacon pieces in its packages. It can be hard to see these pieces when you're picking your pack at the store, but as soon as you get it home, it becomes clear. Not only is it tough to separate the slices, but once you cook them, not everyone at the breakfast table is going to be getting the same size or quality of slice. To combat the issue of small, fatty, broken pieces that consumers have been finding in Costco bacon packages of late, Insider found a solution to ensure that you're always getting the best slices of bacon when you buy it from Costco. Opt for the thick cut option. This style of bacon is meatier and cooks up more evenly, according to Insider. And considering that the product costs just 30 cents more per pound than the regular bacon, it's worth it. At least according to the Insider reviewer, who writes that from now on, that's the variety she'll be snagging every time. Despite the time-honored tradition of frying bacon up in a hot skillet for your breakfast or brunch, in Insider's review of both Costco's regular and thick-cut bacon, the reviewer found that cooking the bacon on the stovetop rendered an unevenly cooked, shrunken, and even burned final product. On the contrary, bacon in the oven is cooked up more evenly with slightly less shrinkage, a benefit the reviewer said made the slices appear meatier. And cooking bacon in the oven has another advantage. It's far neater than a sizzling, spitting skillet of grease. In fact, the New York Times recommends banking on baking your bacon. Doing so will give you evenly cooked slices, and you won't have as big a mess to clean up or have to deal with potential grease burns from an angry skillet. This method, the outlet adds, is also ideal if you're going to be cooking lots of bacon for a large group. What was once a well-kept secret is suddenly surging in demand, not just because people have finally gotten the memo on just how good Costco's bacon really is, but because pork prices across the country are climbing. Costco's bacon is therefore becoming more and more sought after by consumers who want good quality bacon at a reasonable price. Factors pushing pork prices higher, Fox Business reports, include herd losses linked to diseases like porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome, as well as African swine fever. For as long as these ailments plague the pig population, pork prices will probably continue to rise.
The rule of three is prevalent throughout culture. The Greek fates, the Holy Trinity, the three little pigs, and Goldilocks and the three bears. It's difficult to dispute that there is something truly magical about this number. Even in the world of cooking, 3 is perfection, 3 courses, 3 ingredient recipes, Gordon Ramsay's 3-finger rule. Now, we can add Guy Fieri to the trio rule. In what way does Fieri embrace this rule of 3s? Fieri is all about the rule of 3 when it comes to bacon. Regarding this savory meat, Guy Fieri says you should aim to cook 3 pieces of bacon per person, but then triple that. He calls it Guy math, but we just call it common sense. 9 pieces of bacon per person may sound like a lot for most people, but then there are always those outliers. You know the ones. It's those individuals who will sit over a plate of bacon and devour every last crispy strip. We are assuming that Fieri is taking social decorum into consideration here because 9 pieces of bacon is a more than fair amount of the favored fatty pork. And while we love bacon just as much as the next person, we also follow the rule of eat bacon responsibly whenever is humanly possible. That said, we concede it is not always possible to resist the tempting smell of freshly fried bacon. 3 strips of bacon have 161 calories and 12 grams of fat, so plan your eating accordingly and enjoy your 3 to 9 pieces of bacon, Guy style. Fieri's fondness for salted cured pork has been well documented over the years. Remember the burger made up entirely of bacon that he sampled at Dr. Feelgood's kitchen in Santa Fe, New Mexico on an episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives? If not, Fieri described noshing down on the all-bacon burger.
This is what everybody wants a BLT to be like. You're getting the volume of a burger, the flavor of the bacon.
This burger that becomes the focal point of Fieri's visit to Dr. Feelgood's kitchen is 9 ounces of pure ground applewood smoked bacon sandwiched between a homemade potato bread bun. We would be remiss if we did not point out that the weight of this patty certainly follows the rule of 3 tripled. Fieri praises this bacon burger, calling it flavorful and crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Fieri even claims that this is a BLT to another level. Definitely sounds like it. Our mouths are watering just thinking about how it must smell as it cooks. Guy Fieri's rule of 3 is one to live by, but we also think that he has formulated another rule that he may not have formally articulated, and it's this: food wrapped in bacon tastes better. Need proof? Fieri has shared many dishes that look like something straight from Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, also known as Triple D. And again, we can't help but point out his show's name follows the rule of 3. In summer 2020, Fieri shared a recipe for his bacon-wrapped hot dogs. Of course, Fieri had a catchy moniker for this creation, as well as an explanation as to why these dogs are so awesome. Fieri explained. Bacon-wrapped hot dogs with spicy relish, or as my buddy Reed calls them, Tijuana Danger Dogs, like the ones they sell at food carts in Tijuana. For some reason, they just taste incredible at 2 a.m. on the streets in Tijuana. These definitely sound like just the right type of food to eat after a night out. But that's not the only proof point that everything tastes better wrapped in bacon. Fieri's bacon-wrapped prawns remind us of this, as does the Triple D episode that showcases the bacon-wrapped meatloaf at Joe's Diner in San Diego, California.
We've already got our applewood smoked bacon laid out, pull up the ends.
It's when the magic happens.
Fieri has led us to conclude bacon really does make everything better, in triplicate or otherwise. It's no surprise then that Guy Fieri was asked to MC the first ever Bacon Fest in Lathrop, California in 2006.
Everyone loves bacon, but nobody loves grease fires. Here's why you should never cook bacon in your air fryer. Air fryers are known for being somewhat miraculous kitchen appliances. No matter what you make, it seems to always come out better in an air fryer. As it turns out, however, this doesn't quite apply to everything. Obviously, there are plenty of foods that you shouldn't stick in that tray, such as leafy greens.
Ron, would you like some salad?
Since I am not a rabbit, no, I do not.
But bacon and air fryers sound like a match made in gastronomic heaven, right? Well, not exactly. At first, cooking bacon in your air fryer might seem like a great idea. Air fryers operate like a mini convection oven, circulating hot air around your food to cook it. While bacon doesn't contain batter, it is dripping in grease, which won't always agree with your air fryer. When Food Network cooked some bacon in a single layer in an air fryer, the oil started pooling in the bottom and burning, causing white smoke to pour out of the appliance. Cooking Light reports almost exactly the same result when air frying bacon: white smoke, a drawer overflowing with grease, and limp bacon. It seems that if you want a serving of bacon or two, it's probably best to just skip the air fryer and choose another cooking method altogether. However, if you're determined to try cooking bacon in your air fryer, you'll need to do something about all that dripping grease, or things will soon get dangerous.
What have you done to it? You said you didn't like all the grease from fried bacon, so I boiled it.
Some bloggers recommend adding water to the tray below the basket to prevent the grease from burning and smoking. Keep in mind that while this may lessen the smoke, it's also not the safest countermeasure, since mixing hot oil and water can be incredibly dangerous. If that comes in contact with your burner flame, you could have a serious fire on your hands. You can also try working in small batches and draining the grease between each one. Food Network referred to a method from Ben Mims, the author of Air Fry Every Day, which consists of cooking just 2 strips of bacon at a time in an air fryer, but even then, you still might see some smoke. This will also slow the process down, and draining hot oil can also be a safety hazard. So, with the air fryer out of the running, you may feel like you've been resigned to grease splatters and smoke alarms going off while you fry up some bacon in a pan on your stovetop. But don't lose heart. There is one other method that can get you great results without any of the fuss. Ina Garten's preferred method for cooking bacon requires nothing more than a cookie sheet and a good old-fashioned oven. This method is so effective because you can easily cook enough bacon for a crowd, making it a must when you're hosting brunch. Just preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and lay 8 to 10 slices of bacon on your baking sheet. Then pop the tray in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, and there you have it. Gorgeous, piping hot bacon without all the fuss. And if you're looking for a way to make this hack even better, take a note from a day in the kitchen and line the sheet with aluminum foil. That way, when the grease has cooled, you can just peel the foil off and place it directly in the trash, making for far less cleanup. Finally, even though you're cooking the bacon in the oven, be sure to have your stove fan on while the bacon is in the oven to prevent smoke buildup. And while you shouldn't use the air fryer for your bacon needs, you could always prepare something else, such as a simple and delicious air fryer frittata. That at least will have no trouble bringing the brunch crowd to the yard.
I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me.
Oh, bacon bits. They're so delicious in so many ways, but there's so much we still don't know about them.
This is just so delicious. I just don't know when I've had salad as good as this. Bacos? Even better.
If you're anything like us, you have a stash of bacon bits chillaxing in your cupboard right now. Well, here's everything you should know about these tasty little morsels. If you buy your bacon bits at the store, they're pretty much guaranteed to contain some highly processed ingredients, even if they make your greens taste better.
Hey, lady.
Huh?
Want to make a better salad?
A better salad?
Try Bacos.
The food website Wide Open Eats tested 3 popular brands and found that even Oscar Mayer's real bacon bits contained harmful ingredients, despite its self-proclaimed authenticity. Oscar Mayer bacon bits do contain cured pork meat, but they also contain artificial hickory smoke flavoring and sodium nitrate, a chemical that's commonly used in the production of fertilizers, explosives, and high-strength glass. Meanwhile, McCormick is one of the most famous distributors of bacon bits, but they evidently don't contain any real bacon at all. As it turns out, McCormick's so-called bacon pieces mostly consist of soy treated with artificial flavors like red dye number 40, caramel coloring, and a handful of rather unpronounceable chemicals. What else can we tell you about bacon bits?
And one thing every good cook should know about is Bacos. Crunchy, delicious bits of bacon-like flavor.
Well, if you happen to turn your nose up at imitation meat, but sprinkle your food with bacon pieces, you might want to sit down. They taste just as salty and smoky as real meat, but the ingredients listed on the label are really quite similar to what you'll find in vegan and vegetarian bacon bits too. Take Light Life's meatless Smart Bacon, for example. It's a cruelty-free alternative to everyone's favorite breakfast side. The first ingredient listed on a container of McCormick's bacon pieces is textured soy flour, which is also known as textured vegetable protein, or TVP. According to How Stuff Works, this textured soy is an artificial product made out of soy protein isolate. Incidentally, soy protein isolate also happens to be the second ingredient in Smart Bacon. You see, bacon bits can surprise you. The most frequently purchased bacon bits on Amazon turn out to be Oscar Mayer's real bacon bits. And it turns out they are in fact rather real. There's no soy to be found in the product at all. As one consumer wrote in their Amazon review, "There's no weird, processed flavor. I've eaten it straight from the bag and it tastes like it should. It tastes like real bacon." Coming in at number 2, stop the presses, it's McCormick's Bacon Pieces. Although Amazon customers don't seem to find it quite as satisfying as Oscar Mayer's product, it still reportedly packs some serious flavor. One enthusiastic Amazon shopper wrote in their review of the product, "They taste almost better than real bacon." You know, if we're being brutally honest, we've never met a bacon bit we didn't like.
Flavor up, crunch up with Bacos. New Bacos from Betty Crocker has flavor like bacon and a crispy crunch.
Everyone knows bacon bits taste fantastic on baked potatoes, but there are so many delicious possibilities when you start to do a little digging. Southern Living suggests using bacon bits as a topping for guacamole, grilled corn, and even pancakes. Doesn't that sound like the ultimate breakfast indulgence? Truth be told, bacon bits can be sprinkled onto pretty much anything.
Flavor up, crunch up. Crunch up a salad with Bacos. Flavor like bacon and a crispy crunch.
When it comes to bacon bits, different brands have different expiration dates. McCormick's bacon pieces can last up to 2 years from the manufacture date. More authentic versions of the product have a much shorter shelf life. As a general rule of thumb, if there aren't a lot of preservatives in the product, you have less time you have to enjoy it. But enjoy it you will.
They do taste better.
Pour on the flavor.
That's using your head.
McCormick's bacon pieces have been rumored to last for years past their official expiration date. One Amazon consumer, a self-described prepper, claims her bacon pieces have remained edible for almost a decade. We don't know why she's decided to hold on to these bacon bits for nearly 10 years, but still, great to know, right? Bacon bits certainly can't be considered a healthy thing to eat, but one publication suggests there's a way to make them a little bit better for you.
Couple things to remember. 1, never tell your real age. And 2, any salad's better with Bacos.
Prepare and Nourish strongly suggests making your bacon bits from scratch using thick-cut, organic bacon. Make sure this bacon is free of nitrites and all those other chemicals that are often found in store-bought bacon bits. By cooking your bacon in the oven, you can create even and crispy slices that are perfect for cutting into bite-sized pieces. And by making your own bacon bits, you can reportedly ensure you're sidestepping some of those harsh chemicals found in store-bought bacon bits. Hey, it's better than nothing, isn't it? A few years ago, it seemed like there was bacon in everything, including cakes and cookies. Though it's usually considered a savory food, bacon can add saltiness and complexity to baked goods and desserts, making it the perfect addition to pretty much any homemade treat. Bacon bits can definitely spruce up your chocolate chip cookies or even add new depths of flavor to your chocolate cupcakes. Options? You got 'em.
Forget something?
Bagels!
Infused booze, fancy bouquets, and scented candles. Is there anything you can't do with bacon? How does one go viral on TikTok? Bacon, of course. Or puppies. Puppies will do it too. But we're talking bacon. Chef Royce Bethel's video on how to perfectly cook bacon in a pan by boiling it has been viewed millions of times and has garnered thousands of comments debating the merits of boiling bacon. Some think it's genius, while others swear by their own tried-and-true methods ranging from baking to microwaving to grilling it. Don't trust social media to teach you how to cook bacon? While there's a lot of questionable information out there, this one's legit. The key is the way in which bacon cooks. Because the fat takes longer to render than the meat does to crisp up, bacon is easily burnt. The addition of water to the pan allows the meat to stay moist while the fat slowly and evenly cooks off, leaving a perfectly executed piece of bacon. As a bonus, by adding water, there is less splatter to make your stovetop a huge greasy mess. There are a few keys to boiling bacon properly. First, start off in a cold pan. Only use a couple of tablespoons of water and cook over medium heat so it doesn't evaporate too rapidly. Make sure to flip your bacon regularly so it cooks evenly on both sides. Lastly, properly drain your bacon once it is cooked to remove any residual fat.
What have you done to it? You said you didn't like all the grease from fried bacon, so I boiled it.
Imagine a house filled with the smell of cooking bacon, with little to no effort on your part. Well, you don't have to imagine anymore. The Yankee Candle Company developed a line of candles in 2013 to launch in time for Father's Day called Man Candles, which featured a bacon-scented option called Bacon. The scent isn't always available, so we wondered if there was a recipe for making homemade bacon candles. Sure enough, we found one. Thrillist has a recipe that is so simple it's almost comical. All it takes is a glass jar, a wick, some super glue, and copious quantities of bacon. Once the bacon fat is rendered down, it is poured into the jar, which has had the wick super glued into it. As the fat cools, it hardens into a candle. When lit, the aroma of cooked bacon will permeate every inch of your home. Bonus, although this will take an almost surprising amount of bacon, we're about to talk about some creative ways you can use up that delicious crispy pork. According to celebrity chef Mark Bitterman, salt has been a staple of culinary creations worldwide for over 12,000 years. While most people are only familiar with the basics, namely table salt and kosher salt, flavored salts of all varieties have become more common. These salts are typically thought of as finishing salts, meaning they are added at the end of the cooking process prior to serving to enhance the flavor of your dish. One such flavored salt is bacon salt. Bacon salt is incredibly easy to make and is the perfect homemade gift to give your foodie loved ones. While it does make for a great finishing salt, it is also a great way to amp up the flavor of everything from eggs, roasted vegetables, and salads to chocolate chip cookies. The recipe is as simple as cooking the bacon until crispy, draining it, then cooling it. Once cooled, the bacon can be processed in a food processor until pulverized into tiny pieces. The final step, add the kosher salt and pulse together to combine. If you want to jazz up the flavor a bit, you can brush the uncooked bacon with liquid smoke and sprinkle it with freshly cracked pepper or another spice. Store the finished product in an airtight container in the refrigerator where it will keep for up to 4 weeks, or in the freezer where it will last 6 months. The idea of using bacon grease to cook with may sound like something categorically unhealthy and perhaps undesirable. However, bacon grease has long been utilized for cooking around the world. Known as liquid gold, bacon grease is obtained from the fat that has been rendered out of bacon during the cooking process. Contrary to popular belief, Bacon grease does not contain trans fats the way margarine does, and it is higher in monounsaturated fats, the good kinds of fat, than butter. Health considerations aside, the biggest reason to use bacon grease in cooking is its rich, smoky flavor. Bacon grease can be used in all manners of cooking, from sautéing to pan-searing, and incorporating it into your culinary delicacies will protect your plumbing, which can easily clog when bacon grease is poured down the drain. To properly store bacon grease, Masterclass suggests that it is best to strain it through a fine mesh sieve while it is still hot, and be sure to use a container that can be tightly sealed. Once the grease has completely cooled, cover and place the container in the refrigerator. It will keep for up to 3 months in the refrigerator, or almost forever in the freezer. Love bacon, love meat? This might not change your entire life, but it will make meals something to be savored.
I came here for the same reason people go to the zoo.
Cooking isn't all you can do with bacon grease. It's for cocktails too. Meat-infused alcoholic beverages are nothing new. There's evidence dating as far back as the 17th century of savory cocktails, and Ernest Hemingway himself enjoyed something called a bull shot at Harry's Bar in Venice during the 1940s. The marriage made in heaven has to do with the way the meat accentuates the smokiness of hard liquors like whiskey. In the early 2000s, bacon began experiencing something of a renaissance, and commercially produced bacon-infused vodka made its way into grocery stores everywhere. While the meaty spirit is best enjoyed in a martini or a Bloody Mary, its utility is only limited by the creativity of the mixologist in charge. And making your very own bacon-infused vodka is incredibly simple to do. Betty Crocker offers a basic recipe requiring only 2 ingredients: bacon and vodka. The primary ratio of bacon grease to vodka is 1 tablespoon per 375 milliliter bottle of vodka. Once the bacon grease is added to the vodka and transferred to jars, it is frozen to allow the bacon fat to congeal. After this occurs, it can be strained off, and voila, your bacon vodka is ready. Some bacon-inspired gifts are a little more labor-intensive than others. Bacon roses are one of these items. For the bacon lover in your life, consider investing the time to make them a bouquet of bacon roses. They will love it, and the bonus is that you can enjoy the fruits, or rather meats, of your labor together. To make these beautifully delicious bacon roses, simply roll up each bacon slice tightly and insert 2 toothpicks into an X to hold it in place. This will also help the bacon stay upright when cooking. Place a pan in the oven to catch the grease and cook the bacon buds on a wire rack with a toothpick side down. When the bacon is nice and crispy, it's time to turn them into long-stemmed roses with the help of skewers, fake flowers, and a decorative vase. The addition of savory ingredients to dessert isn't particularly revolutionary, but the origin of bacon working its way into dessert is attributed to Chef Heston Blumenthal and his Fat Duck restaurant. It was there in 2004 that he introduced a bacon and egg ice cream that instigated a culinary revolution. If you plan to add bacon to one of your very own sweet recipes, there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, make sure you're using the real deal, not some pseudo-bacon knockoff like plant-based or turkey bacon. Second, make sure the bacon is completely cooked through and crunchy. This includes properly draining the bacon after cooking. And finally, try using applewood or hickory smoked bacon for an extra boost of flavor, particularly in dishes that are on the super sweet side. So break out of the rut. Bacon isn't just for breakfast anymore.
Morning after morning, I cook them a good breakfast. Do they care? Nah, they don't care.
We care.
The number of variations of bacon products available commercially is staggering. Knowing which cut to use for a recipe is something invaluable in terms of maximizing the flavor of any culinary creation, but deciphering the distinctions between all the unique options is a daunting task. On the Gas notes that at its most basic, differences can be boiled down to cut, fat content, and how the pork is cured. European bacon typically comes in round slices and is meatier. It also is sourced sourced from the back of the pig, known as the loin, and is not smoked. This differs from American bacon, which tends to be fattier, comes in slices, and is sourced from the pork belly. For the purposes of determining what kind of bacon to use in a recipe, it's not only surprisingly complicated, but worth researching. Some considerations include the cut, source, signature characteristics, and best use for 21 distinct types of bacon. For example, jowl bacon, which comes from the pig's cheek, is great on sandwiches, while lardon, which derives from the pork belly, is most typically associated with French delicacies. Bacon goes well beyond American favorites, all the way into some international options, each of which possesses unique attributes rendering them suitable for use with spices and ingredients indigenous to those countries. If you Google methods of keeping a turkey moist during roasting, dozens of suggestions will pop up ranging from brining the bird to stuffing it with fruit to rubbing with herbed butter. While all of these may have merit for different reasons, wrapping your turkey in bacon is one of our favorite ways of keeping the breast moist while the turkey cooks through completely. Not only will the fat from the bacon baste the turkey, keeping it juicy, but the smoky and salty goodness of the bacon will also impart a delectable flavor into the bird. The final presentation looks incredible as well, with a lattice blanket of bacon dressing the turkey up to the nines. Here's a few hints to keep in mind. First, don't cover the bird tightly or the bacon won't get crispy. And who likes floppy bacon? Also, add some water to the roasting pan to produce a steam bath that will work like a turkey sauna, making its flesh moist and dewy. The final product doesn't just yield the perfect turkey, it comes with the bonus of a bunch of bacon to nosh on. Whether bacon was on sale at the grocery store and you decided to stock up, or you simply haven't gotten around to cooking what you already have, freezing bacon is a great way of extending the shelf life. Remember, uncooked bacon should only be stored in the refrigerator for a week. After that, it can become rancid and even a health hazard.
So are you really sick? You're not just trying to get out of going to see my mother?
Now, Peg, that hurts.
There are several ways to freeze bacon. Uncooked bacon can simply be wrapped in foil and placed in a Ziploc bag. It will keep for up to 3 months, although for maximum quality, 1 month is recommended. Cooked bacon should be placed on a baking sheet lined with wax paper and then placed in the freezer. Once the individual slices of cooked bacon are frozen, they can be placed in a Ziploc bag and thrown back into the freezer where they will last for 1 month. Don't want to thaw and use a whole pack? There's an easy fix. Similarly to cooked bacon, uncooked bacon can be placed on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper and then transferred to the freezer. Once the individual slices are frozen, you can put them in a Ziploc baggie and freeze them. Again, make sure you use the bacon within a month for optimum flavor and texture, and no longer than 3 months after freezing for safety.
It goes without saying that the best cooking comes from adventurous people trying something totally different. For example, humans may have started out just eating mashed or roasted potatoes, but then someone went and sliced them thin and fried them in some oil. What about the genius idea of the molten chocolate lava cake with chocolate oozing out of the center? Thanks to a curious and gutsy pastry chef out there somewhere, we now get to enjoy its ooey gooey deliciousness with every forkful. Even foods that would normally be considered mundane are elevated by cooks and chefs testing the limits of ingredients. You may think of bacon, for example, as a fatty meat that comes from different parts of a pig. That basic definition hardly begins to describe the bacon varieties found all over the world and used in an array of recipes. Given all the variety that's out there, selecting the best kind of bacon is that much more challenging. Fortunately, some pork belly enthusiasts are up to the task of declaring the best bacon brand. Arguably, the most critically acclaimed bacon firm is Applegate, which has received many glowing reviews online. All recipes names Applegate's uncured Sunday bacon as the ultimate brand, and they're not alone. Echoing their pork-filled sentiment is Food & Wine, which describes Applegate's bacon as sweet with a meaty flavour, and also joining the Applegate fan club is Southern Living, which singled out Applegate as a quality organic bacon. And it's kind of easy to see why. The company has more than 30 years of experience in food production. Applegate keeps its bacon free from antibiotics and artificial preservatives, as well as nitrates, nitrates, and phosphates, which can be harmful to humans, and the ingredients listed on Applegate's Sunday Bacon product page are simply organic pork, water, and sea salt, with a little bit of organic cane sugar and celery powder. Such attention to detail with the ingredients is likely to influence the taste and quality of Applegate's bacon.
It's all natural. Are you?
Of course.
Really?
A close contender for the bacon crown is Oscar Mayer, which has far more experience in meat production than Applegate. Oscar Mayer was founded on the north side of Chicago in 1883, and anyone looking for a great all-round bacon doesn't need to look any further than Oscar Mayer Naturally Hardwood Smoked Bacon. While Oscar Mayer's long history proves that it knows bacon, it's worth mentioning that they're not going for high quality so much as mass appeal. It should also be noted that some bacon reviewers positively shunned the Oscar Mayer brand, which helped us decide to give Applegate our accolades. In fact, Eat This Not That lists Oscar Mayer among the bacon brands to avoid. Why? It's pump cured, where the meat is injected with brine. Some consider it an unforgivable sin, while others consider it a shortcut necessary for mass production. So how much you like Oscar Mayer depends on where you are on the scale. It's also worth mentioning that most inexpensive grocery store bacon is made this way to dramatically reduce curing time, and pumped bacon doesn't imply poor flavour. While selecting the best bacon, we limited our consideration to mainstream brands widely available in supermarkets. But if you really want some good bacon and your search knows no borders, then some premium options become available. For instance, the manual likes Benton's Country Bacon, which is most definitely not pump cured. Benton's bacon is hand-rubbed and takes weeks to cure, then gets smoked for 48 hours per side. It's also worth considering that once you get outside the borders of the US, the term bacon takes on a whole new meaning, and that brings us to the best of the best. For the creme de la creme of the bacon world, we turn to pancetta, which is Italy's version of bacon. Pancetta isn't smoked, so it's not bacon-flavoured in the American sense, although it is salty like bacon because it is cured. For some of the best pancetta you can find, try Pancetta di Calabria from southern Italy. It's so good, it should be enjoyed with a full-bodied red wine, not scrambled eggs and hash browns.
Bacon! You love it, right? What about canned bacon? Though obscure today, it's been a big deal for a while. It was even included in the most expensive sandwich of all time. Keep watching to learn the many mysteries of canned bacon. Toward the end of the 18th century, France fought many battles all around the world. Due to these many battles abroad, the French government wanted to come up with a better way to provide a reliable source of safe nutrition for all of its soldiers. In order to solve this problem, a wave of new culinary experimentations spread across the country. The government decided to hold a competition with a grand prize of 12,000 francs, the equivalent of nearly $13,000 in today's currency. A young chef named Nicolas Appert experimented for 14 years with airtight champagne bottles and wide-necked glass containers. He would seal them with wax and boil them in water. He won the prize in 1809 and kicked off a new food industry that would eventually produce canned bacon. Appert went on to publish a book on his method titled The Art of Preserving for Several Years All Animal and Vegetable Substances. According to Britannica, Appert used his grand prize to start up the House of Appert, the world's first commercial cannery, which stayed in business for more than a century, from 1812 until 1933. European Space Agency astronaut Tim Peake pulled a smooth move as he planned his trip into space in 2016. He worked with celebrity chef Heston Blumenthal to develop a special menu with some of his favorite food. One of Peake's requests was a bacon sandwich. As it turns out, launching bacon 250 miles above Earth to reach the International Space Station requires a lot of culinary finesse and strategic planning. According to Business Insider, space agencies put up a lot of red tape when it comes to food regulation for astronauts in order to prevent them from becoming sick. Blumenthal adapted Peake's menu to meet these specifications, but that meant the bacon sandwich had to be canned. To further complicate matters, the canned bacon sandwich had to be heated for 2 hours at 140 degrees Fahrenheit in order to kill off any possible contaminants. Creating a bacon sandwich that could withstand that kind of sustained temperature meant the ingredients had to be resilient. The bread was extra dense, and the bacon was tough and slathered in thick butter.
butter your bacon.
Yes, Father. What was the price tag for this undertaking? According to Forbes, launching all of the food for each astronaut's meals from Cape Canaveral, including the canned bacon sandwich, cost nearly $3 million. While it's difficult to break down the exact cost of the canned bacon sandwich alone, it's fair to say the sandwich was
very expensive.
You probably don't spend much time thinking about the secretive network of underground bunkers scattered across America.
No, not really.
And you probably spend even less time considering what their subterranean shelves are actually stocked with. As it turns out, we have a good reason to believe that there are massive quantities of canned bacon buried deep underground, all of which are just waiting to be consumed by the world's most powerful people to ensure, quote, continuity of government in the event of a doomsday scenario via MRE Depot. Scanning MRE Depot's online store shows that it sells freeze-dried Canadian bacon in cans that were manufactured by a military defense contractor for purchase by the executive branch. According to MRE Depot, this usually means that its intended purpose is for storage in underground bunkers for military leaders, congressional members, and White House leadership in case of emergencies. Considering bacon's widespread popularity, it's no wonder that it would be top-tier survival food for the most powerful and privileged among us during an apocalypse. Imagine you're exploring a frigid wasteland surrounded by a churning sea of crushing ice. The temperature is so low and the wind is so strong that you can feel the bitter cold soaking into the marrow of your bones. What kind of food would you want to warm up your soul?
A tasty burger.
Okay, a little off topic. But you know what you could put on that tasty burger? Pizza! Canned bacon! That's right! Ernest Shackleton was an exceptionally adventurous explorer who led a team of more than a dozen men on a gruesome and exhausting journey into Antarctica. Unfortunately, their ship got trapped in the ice and drifted through the freezing waters for 10 months, bumping into massive chunks of ice until it was totally ravaged. Their ship was destroyed, and the team then aimlessly drifted on ice floes for another 5 months before escaping in boats to a nearby island. According to Slate, Shackleton wrote extensively in his journal about food and the effect it had on him and his crew. Meals were the bright beacon in those cold and stormy days. The glow of warmth and comfort produced by the food and drink made optimists of us all. Among the team's food items packed for the land of endless winter were nearly 1,500 pounds of canned bacon. Other items on the list included 1,600 pounds of ham, over 1,200 pounds of sardines, and 25 cases of whiskey. If you're wondering what happened to Shackleton and his team, don't worry. According to Britannica, Shackleton led 4 separate relief missions and rescued every last member of his crew. Amazingly, everyone survived. We'd like to think this happy ending had a little something to do with all that canned bacon. Canned bacon is not very appealing to most people today. However, during the wars of the early 20th century, it was one of the heartiest forms of protein that soldiers consumed while they were overseas in combat. According to the U.S. Department of Defense, one of the combat breakfast ration sets for soldiers during the war included canned bacon, biscuits, instant whole wheat cereal, coffee, tomato juice, sugar, canned milk, and cigarettes. At first, the soldiers were given corned beef instead of canned bacon, and early on in the war, there typically wasn't too much variety in the types of meals soldiers routinely ate. However, as the war progressed, more meals were produced and flown overseas. According to the Department of Defense, the rations eventually included other dishes such as stews, spaghetti and meat sauce, pork and beans, meat and noodles, eggs and potatoes, and chopped ham. One of the most common brands of canned bacon for sale is Yoder's canned bacon, which is pre-cooked and heat pasteurized before being sealed. Heat pasteurization is a, quote, heat treatment process that destroys pathogenic microorganisms, according to Britannica. This process typically involves heating the contents of food until it reaches a high temperature, and then holding that temperature for a set amount of time. The exact temperature and the amount of time it must be held there depends on the product, but the goal is the same: destroying pathogenic microorganisms. This ensures the contents being canned are shelf-stable and safe for consumption. The process of heat pasteurization was developed by Louis Pasteur. When Pasteur was hired by Napoleon III to study wine contamination, he discovered that the best way to kill off microbes was to heat the contents of the bottles to 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat pasteurization is now widely used across the food industry to kill off microbes and prevent food poisoning. First off, just to be absolutely clear, delicious as it may be, we're under no illusion that bacon is even remotely healthy for you. In fact, the International Agency for Research on Cancer has officially classified processed meat as carcinogenic. If something is carcinogenic, it means that it has the capacity to cause cancer in humans, via the American Cancer Society. According to the IARC, processed meats are defined as meats that have been modified in the following ways: salting, curing, fermentation, smoking, or other processes to enhance flavor or improve preservation. Without a doubt, bacon, particularly canned bacon, falls under this category. That said, different cuts, brands, and methods of cooking and preserving bacon can result in varying levels of sodium and fat. The recommended serving size shown on most nutritional labels for bacon is 3 slices. Looking at the nutritional facts on Yoder's canned bacon shows that 3 slices of their canned bacon come in at 60 calories with 5 grams of fat and 190 milligrams of sodium. Compare that to the nutritional facts for 3 cooked strips of fresh bacon, which comes in at 120 calories, 9 grams of fat, and over 435 milligrams of sodium, via WebMD. The difference in fat and sodium may have to do with how Yoder's canned bacon is prepared and stored. According to MRE Depot, the fat and liquid is drained off of Yoder's canned bacon before it's sealed, which captures the flavor but spares you of some excess fat and sodium content. Most of the canned bacon you see for sale online is just plain old bacon. And while you may not be able to find much in the way of canned bacon in grocery stores here in the United States these days, there's a treasure trove of riches awaiting for you overseas. Japan, for instance, offers a variety of canned bacon immersed in different sauces. One of those flavors is canned bacon in honey mustard. Canned bacon probably already sounds a bit strange to you, but canned bacon that's submerged in a honey mustard sauce? That might be too much. But before you totally write it off, think about it. The flavor combination of bacon and honey mustard is actually quite common in lots of salads, sandwiches, and pan-roasted chicken dishes. There are tons of awesome recipes that mix these flavors. Imagine nibbling on some of this Japanese honey mustard bacon and sipping on some sake. Keep an open mind, and you might be surprised at how tasty this is. What comes to mind when you think of a luxury treat? Maybe a nice boat of sushi at a great Japanese restaurant, or perhaps a sizzling coal-fired pizza at a fancy Italian joint. One of the last things you'd probably think about is strips of bacon sealed inside of a can. But when you take a peek at the expensive price tag, that's exactly what it is.
Very expensive.
Shockingly, a single 9-ounce can of bacon tends to run nearly $30. Buying 12 cans of bacon in bulk saves a little money, costing over $200 up front, which ends up breaking down to about $20 per can. That's some pricey stuff. It makes you wonder why you wouldn't just buy fresh bacon and cook it up nice and crispy, since it would probably taste better and be easier on the wallet. But then again, fresh bacon doesn't last very long, and the whole reason canned bacon exists is to prolong its shelf life, which can be up to 10 years.
Wow.
Slimy turkey bacon? Seriously? Well, not all brands are the same. Turkey bacon can be crispy, savory, and incredibly flavorful. Keep watching because we're about to reveal our rankings of turkey bacon brands from worst to best. Jennie-O is a meat brand owned by the Hormel Foods Corporation, which you may know for its products which include Skippy and Spam. Jennie-O was founded over 75 years ago, and the company became the turkey and meat-centered brand that many know and adore today. Their turkey bacon is made with cured turkey and has a natural smoke flavoring. This brand's turkey bacon is lighter and thinner than a normal bacon slice, with the same pink color as its pork alternative. The first thing we noticed about Jennie-O's turkey bacon was that it was slimy.
Batman, what happened? Are you okay?
He slimed me.
That's great! Actual physical contact!
Well, maybe not that slimy, but this alone made us wary of trying the bacon, as we weren't sure where the slime came from. Past the slimy surface, even with a plate of eggs, the bacon didn't really have anything extraordinary going for it. Reviews for the product on Jennie-O's website all back up being put off by the slime, meaning that it wasn't an isolated experience. Recent reviews on Amazon also aren't wholly excited about this brand's turkey bacon, with one reviewer writing that the flavor tastes like leather if cooked in a frying pan and cardboard. Ew! It certainly wasn't the best turkey bacon we tried, and if we had no other options, we'd rather just have pork bacon. Welshire Farms takes the next spot on this list with its line of turkey bacon. Welshire Farms has a long list of bacon products. On the brand's website, you can find their classic organic turkey bacon as well as a sugar-free option. Their classic sliced turkey bacon only contains 8 simple ingredients and claims that the turkeys used in the product are raised in a clean environment with animal-friendly practices and without the use of antibiotics. However, we would much rather have Hillshire's sliced turkey than Welshire's turkey bacon any day of the week. The meat was incredibly thick, so it didn't cook as easily as other turkey bacon products. Its texture was reminiscent of a jerky and more chewy than crispy. And even though this meat had a nice brown color after being cooked, we aren't going to be cooking with this turkey bacon again, ever. Next up is Godshall's uncured sliced turkey bacon. Godshall's is a meat producer that prides itself on offering the public real smoked meats. Since 1945, when the company was established by Marvin K. Godshall, this family-run butcher shop has sold its turkey bacon in stores such as Safeway and Harris Teeter. As of today, the company has almost 600 employee owners that produce bacon and other delicious meats. There are about 12 slices in a single pack of their turkey bacon, which are chopped and formed from turkey thigh and 94% fat-free. This turkey bacon was pretty average in comparison to the other options. While it is easy to find in some locations, if you don't live near a grocery store that sells this kind of turkey bacon, then your only option is to get it off of Amazon, where it sells 6 packs in bulk for almost $60. For the price and the hassle of this turkey bacon, it's not worth it.
60? Like 60? Mom!
When it comes to popular grocery store chains, Aldi is known for their wide variety of products sold at decent prices, and that includes Aldi's Fit and Active turkey bacon. Turkey bacon is already seen by many as the healthier alternative to pork bacon, but Aldi's line of the meat takes this a step further, with only 25 calories in each slice of turkey bacon, and no sugar. What is there to say about Walmart? Well, it's one of the largest department stores in the world, with around 10,500 stores in numerous countries, primarily the US. And like Aldi, Walmart carries its own lines of popular consumer products and offers them for lower prices, such as Sam's Choice uncured turkey bacon. This variation of the meat is made from real smoked wood meat, is sold for less than $4 on the Walmart website, and contains 70% less fat than most pork bacon. Even though we wished there was a little more flavor in this turkey bacon, overall, it was a good bacon that we wouldn't mind eating on a sandwich. As you browsed through the deli section of your local supermarket, you may have come across the Golden Boar of the Boar's Head meat brand. The Boar's Head name has been around for over a century now, having been established in 1905 in New York City. While the company was founded based on ham, it has since grown to offer chicken, beef, turkey, and even cheese products. The first thing that we noticed about this turkey bacon was the amount of turkey bacon in a single package. One package of Boar's Head turkey bacon has 19 slices. So if you're looking for a great amount of turkey bacon for your family's next Sunday brunch, Boar's Head will give you the best bang for your buck. A lesser-known turkey farm that has a turkey bacon option on this list is Cook's Turkey. Cook's is located in Pennsylvania, where in 1953, Lowell Cook and his wife established the farm. Cook's organic uncured turkey bacon is made from chopped turkey thighs and doesn't contain any unnatural nitrates. There are about 8 slices in a single package of turkey bacon and can be found in Whole Foods stores. While this choice of turkey bacon isn't as popular as other brands, it was still a solid meat to have with a morning breakfast of eggs and, of course, turkey bacon. The bacon was a decent size, juicy, and crispy when cooked in a skillet or the oven. Going through the Whole Foods refrigerated aisles, you'll have come across several Applegate products. Applegate is a natural and organic meat production company that has sold a wide range of meat products, from chicken and sausage to their organic uncured turkey bacon for over 30 years.
Is it all natural?
It's natural tasting.
What's that mean?
It means it tastes natural.
Because it is natural.
The taste is.
The ingredient list for this product is a lot shorter than other turkey bacon products, with its primary contents being organic turkey and water, with less than 2% of the other items, which are salt, celery powder, and organic garlic powder. The slices of Applegate's turkey bacon are a lot bigger than other brands, and are made with the leg meat of a turkey. While a little more pricey than other turkey bacon, we found that Applegate's meat has a nice texture and flavoring. It's also a bit salty, which is surprising considering its lower sodium content when compared to normal bacon. Many people adore Applegate's product, with one consumer on Amazon writing, "Good bacon, good flavor, and cooks up well. Best turkey bacon I've had." While we can't say this was the best, it was certainly good, and if you see it on store shelves, don't hesitate to take some home. If we're talking about turkey bacon, then we have to talk about Butterball. They are one of the largest turkey producers in the US, and have provided turkey to the public for over 50 years in sliced, whole, burger, and even meatball form. Seeing as they specialize in turkey products, it's not really a shock that Butterball's original turkey bacon places highly on this list. Butterball first launched their line of turkey bacon in 2011 in order to provide a healthier bacon option than solely pork bacon, while also appealing to its turkey fans. They have both their original turkey bacon as well as a lower sodium alternative, which has 66% less sodium than pork bacon. These turkey experts really know what they're doing when it comes to turkey bacon. This product doesn't contain any MSG, meaning that the delicious flavor is entirely natural. When prepared, the turkey bacon gets crispy and lacks any off-putting chewiness. Butterball's turkey bacon product also has a lot of support online, with a high rating on Amazon and reviews claiming the turkey bacon tastes great. One Amazon reviewer said, "It's so good. Better than I expected. Great flavor and it cooks well. Definitely would buy this again." If you're looking for good turkey bacon to replace your pork bacon in an omelet, then this brand is an exceptional replacement. If you're a hot dog or sandwich fan, it's impossible not to know of the iconic meat brand Oscar Mayer. The first Oscar Mayer shop was established in 1883 and has sold many different delicious meats, from sausage to salami, ever since. Oscar Mayer also happens to carry an equally great tasting turkey bacon. This variation of turkey bacon claims to have 57% less sodium than pork bacon, as well as 58% less fat, all without sacrificing the taste of the meat. There is no reason for us to put this turkey bacon anywhere but the top of the list. It's crispy, flavorful, and a clear fan favorite among turkey bacon lovers. Maybe it could even convert the haters.
Would you like to sample our vegan bacon? 100% meatless.
Yes, please.
Well, they should try it. Reviews for this product are overwhelmingly positive towards this brand's turkey bacon, with one consumer even claiming that they have conducted a blind taste test of every leading brand and store brand in the Pacific Northwest, and Oscar Mayer was the winner by a long shot. Keep reading through the reviews, and you will only find more shoppers in adoration of our #1 pick. If you're looking for a great turkey bacon, then Oscar Mayer's is the best.